Did I find it? Yes, I did. Okay, so the meeting's being recorded because there's a lot of people that are registered, but of course, I know it's a Monday. I also know that it's the start of the week and people are at work. I understand that. So, what I wanted to do was give you an opportunity to kind of learn my perspective on purpose, how you have the power of purpose, and how it actually is something you can live right now. One of the things that I've learned in my journey, I feel like it's really important that we kind of start here because I'm going to share with you where I started and where my purpose journey started. And I'm going to just get you to interact in the comments. Let me know if this resonates with you, if you've ever felt this way. Because one of the things that I've realized as I live my life is that although our circumstances are different, our backgrounds vary, we don't have the same story, and even where we're going in the future is different. As human beings, we're a lot alike. There's a lot of similarities that we have, and that's the whole idea of listening to someone else's story, because when you listen to someone else's story, you can see yourself in it. And that's what I'm hoping by sharing my story here to kind of get this started, what's going to happen for you. So, like, I'm one of 8 children. So growing up on the farm, just a simple farm girl, simple farm life. I, often wanted to feel like my life mattered. I wanted to feel like I was important. I wondered and questioned everything about my life, about what am I here for? What's the purpose of my life? Has that been your experience too, where, right from as long as you can remember, it's like, what is this all about? What's life all about? I kind of had that deep sense inside of me that there was some sort of purpose to my life. And I wanted to discover it. I wanted to find it. And that sent me on a journey early in my young adult years to figure that out. It was like, where is it? So I started studying it. I started studying every single expert I could find. I started digging into books. I mean, if you saw my library on purpose alone, you'd be very impressed. I have been studying this for 30 some years, just trying to figure out where's the purpose of life. And what I found very consistent is there's a message that we get, in the out in the world, that purpose is something you find. So the word find in itself made me think, well, it must be out there. I have to go find it. So it gave me the idea, now maybe this is the same for you, that if I have to find it, then I have to find it outside of myself. So I would go looking for it outside of myself, in my roles, in my titles, in the things that I did, in the things that I achieved. And it would give me a sense of purpose for a short period of time. So as an example, in my career, I was doing my job. I was going after an achievement, somehow feeling like I needed to prove myself, that somehow if I achieved these titles, if I succeeded in my life, that I would now have a sense of purpose. And it gave me a sense of purpose for a time. Every achievement, made me strive and find out who I was, and I'd move towards it. And it was exciting and gave me a sense of meaning because I was like pushing my limits, but it was always short lived. And the reason that it was short lived, as I've discovered over the course of my life, is because purpose isn't actually something that is outside of you. It's actually in here. And that was the part that really got lost for me. And all of the things that I was learning, all the teachers that I was studying, they were all teaching that it's somehow, external. And what I've discovered, and that's what we're going to talk about here today, is that purpose isn't actually external. Purpose lives inside of you. It is you. It makes me emotional just saying it out loud, because I wish someone had given me permission to understand that a long time ago. Purpose is not something that you have to prove. It's not something that lives in what you do or the titles or the success or your external achievements, although you play many roles in that. And that's a choice that you can make to use who you are as a purpose in the roles that you do. But it isn't external. It actually lives inside of you. Part of my confusion as I was studying all of these teachers and experts and reading all these books was not only that it's that you have to find it, but that somehow you have to, that someone else is going to tell you what it is. So that was one of the things that really got me baffled actually, because I didn't know if I was to like die. And then at the end of my life, someone at the pearly gates was going to meet me and say, "Oh, you lived your purpose. Good job." You know what I mean? I didn't know if it was spiritual or religious. I didn't know if it was through what we do that we can prove it. That's where all my confusion was. So I'm going to look in the chat here. I'm going to actually put my glasses on because I can't really see without it, and see if any of this is something that you've actually struggled with yourself. Has anybody here had this feeling before where it's like, it's confusing? You think you have to find it. You think you have to prove it, that the meaning of your life is going to come somehow through external validation. Okay. Lori, Jenneth, hello. For years. Yes. Okay. As a matter of fact, there was one purpose expert that I sat down with, and this is a world-renowned teacher. And I asked him about finding my purpose. I was just so confused. Finding was the key word. So I was like, "Can you help me understand? And can you help other people understand through me?" I said, "Can we just explain to me, how do you find your purpose?" And he explained that it's always on the horizon. And what that means, or what he was talking about, was that it evolves because you evolve. So, just as an example, like when I was born for a purpose. I'm here because I have a purpose. So I was born with a purpose as a baby. So as a baby, I had a purpose. I didn't have to find it. I didn't have to discover it. I just had it, right? Because I was here, period. Same as you. We have a purpose when we're born because we're living. And then as I went through my life, I started, I become a teenager. And at that time, my purpose was my understanding of purpose was very minimal, because I was just trying to find friends and fit in and figure out who I was. So my purpose in life was discovering myself as a teenager, as I moved into adulthood. Then I became a mom. And when I became a mom, I felt a sense of purpose. It was like, there's something bigger than me. And it motivated me. Like, as an example, when a baby's crying in the night, what motivates a mother to get up, even though she doesn't want to? The purpose of, it's bigger than her. She has to get up. She's got to get up and look after this baby. It was a motivation. It gives you a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose. However, a lot of those things are external. So when he was talking, the purpose is always on the horizon, I got even more confused because I wanted to feel purpose in my life right now. And if it's always on the horizon, that in itself says it's out there. I have to try and find it in my day-to-day roles, in the things that I do in my life. And that didn't work for me, because if you're an empowered woman like myself, I wanted to live it right now. I wanted to feel like purpose in my life right now and not have to have it out there. Now, here's the thing that I've learned, and I promise you I'm going to get this down into 3 steps after I share my story around this. And there's 3 things that I've discovered that you can apply to your life right away that I'm going to help you with, so you can leave here and be like, I'm living my purpose right now, who I am by choice, empowered. Okay, you guys ready for that? If that makes you excited, tell me in the comments. I have to preface this though, because I have to tell you how this journey landed me here. So it does evolve. And the reason that it evolves and it's always on the horizon is because who you are is going to evolve. Your relationship with yourself is going to evolve. And as you evolve and as you learn and grow an understanding of yourself, what happens is you're able to fulfill your purpose and live it differently, because you now own it. So as you live and experience your life, you're going to gather more experiences, more skills, more talents. You're going to have a better understanding of yourself. And that's when you're going to be able to experience that purpose on a different level. That's it's always on the horizon. That's the part that you're moving towards. But that doesn't mean you don't have it right now. And that's what we're going to talk about. Any of this kind of connecting so far, even to just make you go, okay, I have permission. You have permission to actually live with purpose right now. I was in my early 30s. So I had already been studying this for, honestly, 20 some years. This is my passion because I just wanted to figure this out. So I was deeply studying this. And every time, as I said already, I was getting a little bit more confused about it every time because every teacher would teach us somehow different. But it was pretty much always external and find your purpose as if it's out there. And maybe that's not how they intended it, but that's how my brain translated it. And I figured I had to prove myself, I had to try harder. And it led me to just feel like I never had it, no matter what I did. So then I came upon a book, and this book explained it in the simplest way that I could understand about the evolving and purposes on the horizon. And here's what it was. The book is called Who Will Cry When You Die? It's by Robin Sharma. And the chapters are only 2 pages, which works really well for my ADHD brain and my very limited, amount of possibility to be able to focus. But just stay with me. I know you're all writing down the name of the book. I can give you the link and all that stuff, but I want you just to stay with me on this. Because here's what he said. He said, when you were born, if you're trying to discover purpose in your life, when you were born with purpose. So when a baby is born, it cries while the world rejoices. So I want you to envision, a baby, you're being born, a baby's being born, it's crying, the world's rejoicing. This is a beautiful thing, right? We all know this picture. Okay. Live your life in such a way that when you die, you rejoice while the world cries. And for some reason, that fully connected for me in the simplest way as the empowered part of purpose, where you can actually choose to live your life in a way that fulfills you so that when you get to the end of your life, you can say, I lived fully who I was in every expression of who I am. And you will be rejoicing while the world cries because they've lost somebody of so much meaning. So this is where the empowerment piece comes in. This is the piece that comes in that says, you can actually choose how you live your purpose because you are the purpose. So here's where I want to take you through. I want to take you through what I've discovered, and I'm going to do it in 3 steps. And just before I do that, I want to share with you one other thing that I discovered that I'm not going to cover in this class. I'll cover this in a future class if you want me to. Maybe this is a deep dive for me to take in a future training or something. But also, purpose is such a big topic. So my TEDx talk that's going to be releasing in the coming months, the title of the talk is Why Find Your Purpose is the Wrong Advice. It's literally the wrong advice. And there's another element of this that I wish I could have done in the TEDx that I feel like I really need to teach. And that's that purpose is such a big topic. It's really hard for us to grasp. And as I said earlier, I have this ADHD brain that needs things simplified. I need it broken down, and I need it done in a way that I can understand it, which probably is what makes me really powerful at presenting this, because I'm able to simplify the process. Because the way that a lot of the teachers teach it, it's so big that we can't comprehend it. We can't live it because we can't absorb it, and we have to feel like we have to study it for decades because it's so big that we lose ourselves in just trying to understand it. And here's what I've done for myself that has made it a lot easier. It's made it a lot easier for me to break it down into parts. And what I mean by that is, instead of like one big overall life purpose, instead I've broken it into the parts of who we are. So the meaning of us, our lives, and the purpose of like why we do what we do. So our behaviors. So like the study of self, to really understand ourselves. Because if we put it all into one great big bucket and say, the purpose of life, the meaning of life, it's so big because there's so many parts to it. The first part is understanding yourself and recognizing there's purpose to the past. So that's the first part. The past has made you who you are. It's actually given you all of these experiences and all of these talents and experiences and everything that you have, that now owning those, you can use those however you choose moving forward. The second part is recognizing that there's behaviors that we have. Have you ever had that experience where you're like, why did I act like that? Why did I do that? We need to study those things. We need to study that about ourselves, because the more that we gain understanding about ourselves and why we behave the way that we do and what really motivates us and what's that underlying thing. See, that's the second part. So instead of one big bucket, it's like the purpose to the past. And then there's the purpose to our behaviors and the study of self. And then that leads us to who we are, this understanding ourselves, so that now we become empowered to use that understanding of self wherever we are in our journey for whatever purpose we choose. So it's almost like broken down. Like if I were to write a book on this, maybe I should write a book on this actually. Maybe I should write a book on this and break it into the sections to help you understand. By the way, I do have a book for those of you that are new to me. It's called Lead Your Life, How to Live with Purpose, Passion, and Confidence. But this is like another element of that I've discovered since that book. So instead of one big overarching thing about purpose, we can break it down into the 3 different parts, and it makes it simpler, it makes it easier to manage, and it makes it easier to live, which is powerful for all of us, isn't it? When you can actually choose it and live it because we understand it. So for today, what I wanted to give you is this: 3 powerful steps to your power of purpose right now and how you can live it. And the first one is for you to believe it's not out there, it's in you. It is so important that you recognize that in order to live with purpose, it isn't something that is external, it's something that lives inside of you. The truth is, purpose is you. I have a deep belief that when our purpose is fulfilled, every single one of us is gone. That's when life is done in this form that we're living right now. When our purpose is fulfilled, we're no longer here. So it's a simple fact that since you are here, since I am here, since we're all here, we have a purpose, period. You have it already. This might be a surprise to you. It's not something you have to search for. It's not something you have to try and get. You have it right now. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you have to believe that you are valuable enough and have a sense of self-worth in order to feel like you can live that purpose. So let me explain this a little bit more. When I was growing up on the farm, I was conditioned to believe certain things about myself, just as you were. We're all born into environments and we have people around us that we feel like maybe we need to prove ourselves. Maybe some of the environments aren't so healthy, or maybe they just simply couldn't teach it to us. Maybe they just didn't have the capability of that. And as you grow up, you start developing this sense of self-worth. You start to see yourself a certain way. You have a view of yourself. And that view of yourself, sometimes we created this belief system about ourselves and how we see ourselves and made decisions about ourselves before we even knew this isn't a good belief for me to hold. In the comments, I would love to see just a sign if you have ever felt not enough. Has that been something you've been living with for a while? I just don't feel like I'm enough. Yes, never enough. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate you all being so vulnerable here with me. Thank you. Thank you. And if you're not comfortable to share it in the chat, just be honest with yourself. Have you ever felt not enough? And has that been a pattern that's been going on in your life for some time? Because when there's a pattern of, I don't feel like I'm worthy and valuable, when they tell you to go find your purpose, it's going to do one of 2 things. You're going to feel like you need to prove that you're enough. So you're going to exhaust yourself. You're going to do more. You're going to show up more. You're going to people please. It shows up in all these crazy behaviors because when we're people pleasing, when we're trying to prove that we matter because we don't feel like we do inside, and we want to have meaning, we want to matter, we want to be important. And because of that, we feel like we have to go prove ourselves. So we do more, we people please, we overextend ourselves, we burn ourselves to exhaustion, and then it still never feels like enough. In my own story, this is how it went. Deep down, I felt like I wasn't enough. That was my inner belief. So I would do more. And when I say do more, I meant do more. I have high standards and I'm an overachiever. So I would expect to be the best mother. I would expect to have a successful career. I would expect to have the most amazing, beautiful home that was always perfect and made the best meals and the best body and look the best. And I put all these incredible expectations on myself, just trying to prove that I was, because that's what I believed. I believed that if I have to keep doing, I do all these things to somehow prove I'm good enough. And guess what would happen? The more I would do, the more I would do, and then I would land there and I would still feel like not enough. And in my internal dialogue, even if I wasn't aware of it, what would happen was I would believe I'm not enough. So I have to do all the things to try and prove that I am. And then I would do all the things and it still wasn't enough, which meant I wasn't enough. There's the cycle. And around and around and around it would go. Is this resonating with anybody? Can you see yourself in that? Yeah. Like I say, we're more alike than we're different. That's the story of human beings. So here's the thing. And then it would get even more confused when it would be like, well, find your purpose, keep doing more. So I'd try to pick myself up and then I'd go and I'd do some more, you know? The foundation of this idea, of this step number 2, so to speak, of the power of your purpose, is to recognize that the first step in order to feel like you can live your purpose right now is to value yourself. Because if you feel like you need to prove that you're worthy, you're doing it for the wrong intentions. You're doing it to prove you have purpose versus living your purpose. This is where the real work is. As a matter of fact, in my own journey, this is actually where the breakthroughs happened, was when I really started understanding myself and seeing the patterns that were dominating my life and that were stopping me from actually living my purpose and making me feel like I had to go do more and contribute more and be all the things just to prove it. And it would still come up short because inside is the reflection of outside. If you don't feel valuable on the inside, how can you possibly go and contribute something to someone else? You don't feel like you have anything to contribute. I hope that this is making sense to you. I hope this is resonating. I hope I hope this is giving you like a deep sense of relief, because that's what I was searching for. I was searching for a sense of relief, for somebody to give me permission that I don't have to do anything more. I don't have to prove anything. I already am. I already am purposeful. I'm here because I have purpose. I am valuable already. And if I didn't feel valuable, at least gave me the guidance to where I could start to work on that. So that as I worked on myself and as I started to become and feel more valuable, I felt like I could step into my purpose every single day by contributing who I am to the world. Which is the third step. The third thing I wanted to talk about here is that you get to choose how you live your purpose. You get to choose. It's completely up to you. And here's how. You have life experiences. You have a story. Some of those stories might even be very painful. There might be some things that you've learned, some lessons that you've taken in over the course of your life. You might have some skills that you've developed. You might have some talents that are natural to you that aren't natural to someone else. And you can choose how you live your purpose right now by owning who you are, recognizing that the past has made you who you are, that you are enough, and then using those skills, talents, and experiences in your life story and all of your lessons to contribute in any way that you choose. This is your choice. This is your power. It is actually up to you, which is pretty wild, isn't it? So, this is the part about purposes on the horizon. So, I thought this is how I envisioned it. In my mind, this is how it went. If purpose is always on the horizon and I'm always moving towards it as I experience life, makes sense. But if it's always out there, I would envision it almost like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You know, when we were kids and it was like, oh, there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And it's like, if you see a rainbow, you can move towards that end of the rainbow and you never get there. Do you see that? That's how I visualized it. It was almost like we're chasing purpose versus choosing it. And I didn't like that. I wanted to have purpose in my life right now. I didn't want to chase it. I wanted to choose it. I wanted to have it right now. And this is how. This is what I've discovered. You can choose to live it right now. And here's the way. Number one, recognizing that your past and all the experiences that you have actually created the person you are today. Number two, recognizing that who you are is enough. And that if you don't feel enough, you need to work on that so that you then feel empowered for the third step, which is living your purpose any way you choose, using everything that makes you uniquely you, your stories, your skills, your talents, your experiences, to use it in any way you choose. That might be in a title, that might be in a role, that might be in a business that you're in. It might be in any given way. But the thing is purpose lives because it lives in you, and everywhere you are, purpose is with you. Your purpose is with you because it is you. How many of you are feeling differently coming into this already? I'm going to actually take some questions. I finished this a lot faster than I expected I was going to. And I'm going to take some questions. Now, I just want to preface this that if you ask a question, this is being recorded. There is people who will see this outside of here. If you don't feel comfortable with that, please just don't ask the question because you'd be in the recording. So that's important that you know that. But if there's an aha or a question, anything you want to ask me, this is your opportunity to do so. I'm going to check the chat so that you all have that chance, and just raise your hand and say, hey, actually in the bottom, there's a reaction button. You can click that and raise your hand if you want me to actually bring you to camera so that I can get you to ask the question. Oh, okay. Actually, I see a question in the comments. Okay. Thank you, Nicole. So Nicole's asked, what do you do when you've done it so much that you're exhausted, burned out, and when you start refusing to do all of the things, people look at you like you've lost your mind? Now, I know you're laughing about that, Nicole, but I actually think that that's a really amazing question. And I think it's something that is a challenge for a lot of us. And I don't think most of us are laughing about it most of the time because it's hard. It's hard when it's like, I'm doing all of the things, I'm doing everything I can, I'm trying to meet all these expectations, and I'm burned out and I'm exhausted and I got no more to give. See, if purpose is always connected to contribution and giving to someone else, what happens when you have nothing to give? You have no purpose? That's what happens to most of us. We run into that, don't we? We run into it where it's like, I got nothing. I'm completely depleted. I remember, like, as a mom, so a mom of three, I mean, my life was chaos. And I was in a dysfunctional, toxic marriage. I didn't have the support from a spouse. I'm, running a business that I've got thousands of people on my team that I'm responsible for. I'm trying to keep my home. I'm taking care of my kids. I mean, my life is freaking hard. Like, there's just not enough hours in a day. And somehow I just keep pushing on and keep doing it. And no matter what, I always felt like this just isn't enough. Does that mean that I'm failing at life? Like, I'm not fulfilling my purpose? I don't know. And burnout would hit. And then I'd be like, have my big cry, and I'd try and figure myself out and be like, okay, you got to keep trying. So keep on pushing. And it's like, that's no way to live. Our purpose is directly connected to who we are, and we have that power of choice. If it's not filling you up, if it's not giving some sort of meaning to your life, you need to stop and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Because if you're spending your life doing the things, which is what a lot of us are doing, we spend our lives trying to do even more because underneath we feel like we're not quite enough, or that this is what we have to do. We feel like we have to do it. So you keep doing all of these things and it exhausts you and depletes you, and you end up in this whole pattern. But what needs to happen is we need to stop and ask ourselves, why? Why are we doing the things that we're doing? And get really honest with ourselves. So, as an example, in my own life that I've already shared, I had to ask myself, why do you put these ridiculous expectations on yourself that you have to do all of these things? Is it because you feel like you're failing, or that people are going to judge you and that you're not good enough? Yeah, that's actually why I was doing it. I was doing it because I felt like I needed to prove myself. And because I had internal conditioning that said the only way you're successful as a woman in your life is if you can do it all and please everybody and look after everything, I had to examine underneath why I was doing what I was doing. And then really get really honest with myself about what those answers are, because I was doing it to myself because I simply fell into a pattern of surviving my life and just living that way. No wonder at the end of the day, I questioned whether my life had purpose, and is this all there is? So what I would say to you is, you want to stop and say to yourself, in a day, all the things that I'm doing, what really matters here? What really brings meaning to my life? Why am I doing what I'm doing? This is the work. You want to sit down and actually examine yourself and understand why you're doing what you're doing. We are so busy in living our lives that we're doing all these things, and we don't even stop and ask ourselves why we're doing them. We just do them because we do them. And then at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, it's what I have to do at the end of the week, at the end of the month. And don't get me wrong, guys. I know there's a lot that goes on in your life that you have to do. I mean, you got bills to pay and all those things, but that's why we end up doing it. But here's the problem with that. The problem is that a day becomes a week becomes a year becomes a decade. And then all of a sudden you're like, is this it? Is this all my life is going to be? This can't, there has to be more to life than this. There has to be a bigger purpose. Here's what happens. In 2017, I started my company, and here's what happened. So my life in 2011 completely fell apart. And what I mean by fell apart was it actually gave me a new life, a new chance at life, to create a life on my terms and on purpose, intentionally. But my marriage ended, my career wasn't fulfilling anymore, but I was still trying to keep it for the security. And I'm doing all these things. I'm literally presented with an opportunity to completely recreate my life. Okay. So this is my story. And the first few years, I had to just land on my feet. I'm, trying to find who I am, understanding that the choices that I had made in my life landed me there. And quite honestly, taking ownership for every aspect of my life, and recognizing that I had some healing to do, and that my kids had some healing to do. And I focused on that. But then in 2017, a big revelation came to me where I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this different this time. I'm in my 40s. And what I hoped was, I have a lot of life left to live. None of us know for sure, right? None of us know for sure how much time we have. This could be it today. But hoping that I was going to live a long life, I said to myself, okay, you're in your 40s. Technically, you're in the second half of your life, if you're lucky. And instead of just falling into my life, I said, you know what? I'm going to lead my life, and I'm going to choose this on my terms. What do I really want to do? What brings me joy? What gives me purpose? What really matters to me? And what are the experiences that I have in my life that if I chose to use them in a really effective way, I could maybe even teach this to people. And I started like allowing myself to kind of envision that I would step into my purpose, just who I am, using all my life experiences to help other people in a way that I chose. And what I realized is I decided to start my company. And fun fact, as I sent it in the email this morning, fun fact, my company was even called With Purpose Consulting. That's what I originally started at, not Corliss Co. So With Purpose Consulting was the name of the company. And what I discovered, and the reason I felt there's, named my company that, was because purpose is the foundation of everything, but people are missing it. People are missing it. And that means they're missing the meaning. So they chase the things that are going to give them meaning without stopping to think about what that meaning is that they're trying to create and to get an understanding of self in order to cause that to happen. So what happened is I started coaching a few clients and I noticed a pattern. And the pattern was this: that people were living more on autopilot, chasing the things, understandably, because that's actually what we've been taught and conditioned to believe we need to do. And it wasn't until something happened, a loss, like somebody died, a tragedy struck where it impacted them, a divorce, a relationship failing, or they hit a stage of life where it's like, my kids have left home and who am I now if I'm not a mom? They have a divorce like I did. Their job releases them, or company releases them, and they were all about their title. And it was like this commonality that was happening where they say purpose is an incredible alarm clock, and it's true. And this is why, because purpose wakes you up to live. And my goal when I started the company was to help people wake up to live purposefully now, not having to have a loss or a tragedy or a health scare or a financial crisis or a relationship ending in order to choose that. I wanted to help people choose that right now. And that meant that I would be sharing my journey. So what you're seeing and witnessing today is actually me living my purpose by choice, using what I've just taught you to shape your own life in an intentional way, using whatever it is that makes you uniquely you in any way you choose to fulfill your purpose. And here's what's going to happen for me tonight. When I go to bed today, I'm going to put my head on my pillow and I'm going to say, I lived with purpose today. Because I set out intentionally to do so. It was my choice how I lived it. This is one of the ways that I do that. So you have that choice. So interrupting our patterns that keep us stuck is really important. By stopping and asking ourselves the questions, even taking this training that you're with me on today is a big deal. I hope you congratulate yourself for that. The fact that you showed up here and said, you know what, I want to immerse myself in this, I want to learn this, says a ton about you. And by the way, you're on the path of your biggest breakthrough in your entire life. Because this is where it happens, is when we start going within ourselves instead of trying to find it outside of ourselves. We go within us and say, okay, if I take exactly what Corliss is sharing here and I examine myself and recognize that purpose lives in me and that I can give myself permission to believe that. And now I start examining, why do I feel about myself the way that I do? Why do I feel like I need to prove? Why do I feel like I need to people please? What are the beliefs that I'm holding? Why am I going over the top, doing all these things, burning myself out, and then at the end of the day, questioning what my purpose is? Why am I doing that? So you start examining yourself. And then once you start understanding yourself, now you can say, I'm empowered to choose my purpose. Purpose is me. Everything that makes me me. So because it's me now, how do I choose to live it moving forward? It could be on an airplane. This happened not long ago, actually. I was on an airplane coming back from my TEDx talk, and my partner was with me. And we had a layover, and I went into the bathroom, and he was waiting out in the hallway for me. And I met this woman in the bathroom. I know this sounds really strange, but anyway, we ended up having this conversation in the bathroom, and we came out, and she gave me a big hug. And my partner is watching this, and he's like, you met somebody in the bathroom, or you ran into somebody? And I was like, oh no, I just met her. And, and he was like, how do you do that? I don't even understand how you go into the bathroom, you end up making a friend and having this deep conversation about purpose in the bathroom. And you guys, this is a true story. But it turns out she's a hairdresser and she complimented my hair. We started talking. And then I asked her if being a hairdresser fulfilled her. And then she started telling me about how it does, because the work that she does gives her an opportunity for her clients to sit and tell them their stories and for her to fully connect with them when they share stories. That's purpose, my friends. That fills her up. But that's one way that she can do it. Then when she goes home at night, who she is can be the same person for her family, if that's what she chose. Do you see what I'm saying here? Are we all getting this? Is this all making sense? I sure hope so. Okay, does anybody have their hand up? Oh, I love your chats, by the way, everybody. Oh, Energizer Bunny. Oh my goodness, Tamla, we are sisters. I even had a costume. My team actually bought me a costume. It was an Energizer Bunny costume, not even kidding. There's pictures of me at a meeting in that Energizer Bunny because that's what they would tease me that I was. All right. Is there anybody who, I'm glad you love this 3 steps, Tammy. Thank you so much for sharing that. Makes you want to really think about all of this differently. I'm so glad to hear that. That's the whole idea, is to get you thinking differently and to give you something. But what I'd really love to hear is some tangibles. I'd really love to hear what is one thing, your first step, the first step that you can take away that you're going to really focus on. I don't want you to leave here like I left many of those seminars and those classes and many of those books and was like, okay, I got to change everything, everything. And it was like more I had to do. That's not what I want to do to you here. My goal today is to give you one thing, give you something, a system that I've learned and through my own life experience that has led me to be able to live purposefully in my life. It's led me to a life of meaning every single day that I get to choose. It's led me to change how I feel about myself and how I live my life. And I want that for you. But you're not necessarily going to do it the exact same way as me. What I want you to do is to share with me just one thing that you've really taken away. I'd love it if you came to camera and actually shared. Raise your hand if you're willing to come on here and say, you know, this is the one thing that I feel differently about since the last 43 minutes since we've been here together. Is there anybody that's willing to do that? Oh, got people at work. I understand that. Okay. So you're going to explore why you feel like you're not enough. Excellent. That's a really great place to start. Like a really great place to start. That was where I actually started. As you know, I had to actually begin with, why do I always feel like I have to prove myself? Why do I never feel like it's enough? Why am I always trying to please everybody else? Why am I trying to meet these ridiculous expectations? Why do I feel like I need to succeed at the highest level in order to be important enough to have a purpose? I appreciate all this. The sharing's really good. I just need to figure out how to move forward. You know your why? Good. Okay. One thing, analyze me. Okay. Good. I'm so glad you needed this today and you showed up. This is so good. I've been trying so hard to find my purpose, and this made me see it differently. Purpose isn't something outside of me, it's already part of who I am. Ah, Janet, that's amazing. Oh, that actually just makes me just my ears, or my ears, my eyes instantly tear up. That's so great. So listen, this is meant to be a value add, and it is. But I also offer other things that add value that might walk you through this. So remember, my journey, not might, they will. My journey led me here to create this company, to create these conversations, to create these spaces for people to grow. Much of it has been developed into different programs because I felt called. I was like, I have to put this into something that is going, I got it. This is like so important to me. This is my purpose in action, where I can take everything that I've learned and I can put it into programs and books and podcasts and webinar trainings that are going to help other people. So, Jeneth and anybody else who is like, I need to start with me, and I know I do, I really want to recommend a super cost effective, economical way for me to coach you. And that's through the Power of You or the Best You. So, the Power of You and Best You are 21 videos where I actually walk you through exactly how to step into who you are, to understand yourself better. So we go through things like mindset and our beliefs and why we don't feel enough, and we learn to love ourselves a little bit more, and we kind of just honor where we've been so that we can become who we want to be and step into that and feel a sense of purpose every day moving forward. And they're in bite-sized pieces, like we're talking 5 to 10 minutes max, but it's a process that I take you through in 21 videos. So past, present, and future. And then we move you into like, now, how do you choose your purpose? How do you choose? So it evolves you. So I'm not going to do some big sales pitch here, but if that is of interest to you, I want you to send me an email. Just send me an email and I'll send you the link and you can check it out. It is not expensive and it is so worth it because you're worth it. And I developed it literally using all of my training, all of my lived experiences, and put it into a program that can help people. It's basically what I felt like I needed and didn't get, period. To help people get there sooner. So just send me an email. It's me at corliss.ca, and I'll send you the links if you want to check it out. Okay. All right. Anybody have anything that they'd like to share? Tamala, do you want to come on? I know that you've done a lot of this work as a call to lead trainer. Do you want to come on? You're here again learning. Do you want to share what you're taking away?
Sure. It's always great to hear you speak, Corliss, and it's just reminders of recognizing those patterns that we keep coming back to, right? It's just knowing, oh, yep, I did it again. There it is, there it is, there it is. And why am I doing that? What happened in the past that is causing me to react this way to a situation where I'm reacting in a way that is not the way I should normally be reacting, right?
Yeah.
So recognizing those patterns for me is something that I'm really constantly, consciously working on because every time I catch one of those patterns, I can stop it and I can say, oh, there you are. Like you
Mhm.
don't need to be here anymore, remember? We said goodbye before, we're saying goodbye again, and I'm releasing you. So that's
That is
that's the
that is
big
wonderful. So
thing.
really, it's not rocket science. Like, I mean, there are some definitely some different ways that I teach purpose here, but a lot of this self-examination and taking personal growth and development, we need it on a constant basis, right?
Absolutely. I feel like because I've done lots of like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi and Joe Dispenza and those kinds of things. But honestly, Corliss, your courses speak more to me because it's like there's a connection of you have lived these things and you're speaking from what you've lived. And it's not these big, oh, this is just the big overview of it. No, these are practical things that I can take and it's good reminders. It's like, oh yeah, I remember I've learned this before and now I need to step back and start using it again because I know it helps me, right? So that's why I keep jumping back into your courses and taking more because it does that for me. So I appreciate that.
Oh, I appreciate you sharing that. And by the way, everybody, I had no idea she was going to share that. However, there is a certain style and approach that comes with these things, right? And these are practical applications. I am you. I am you. And in a lot of ways, we go together. We learn and we grow. I'm always evolving. I'll never say I've got it all figured out, but I do know that who I am right now has a lot to contribute, and it's what I've learned. And I feel called, like in every ounce of my being. It's like I've got to help somebody else with this. And it brings me great joy to do that. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for that lovely testimony, even though I didn't know it was coming. But it is important what Tamala said. And I want to reiterate what she said to drive this home for you. You are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth giving yourself the time, the space, investing in yourself to learn who you are and to constantly evolve that person. And if you're feeling like you're not, that's exactly the reason you need to do it. As a matter of fact, that's the exact reason you need to do it. You need to spend that time on yourself. You need to invest in yourself. You need to give yourself space to do that. And if any part of you is like, oh, I don't know if I should spend money that way, I don't know if I should do that, I don't know if I should, there's so many other things to do, then that's exactly why you need to, because you're putting yourself at the bottom and everything about you is showing up in your external world. My family, if they were here right now, they would tell you that they would think, well, actually, this is a true story. When I hosted Lead Conference Canada in 2023, we were backstage, and my one daughter is not really into this stuff. Okay. So she's just not. She was there to support her mom, but she was like, yeah, nah, this isn't for me. Okay. So she was there for me. And we went to do VIP pictures, and I was on the right hand side of the stage, and I was waiting for Jack to come to do the pictures with me. And I sent my daughter to go and get him. And then right after I did that, I had this little thought in my mind. I don't know if I should have sent her because she's not into this. And I was like, what's she going to say to him? Like, I was a little scared, not going to lie. I was like, oh boy, I don't know if that was a good idea. So anyway, Jack and I have gotten to know each other. I had told him that my three kids were there, that I had one daughter that wasn't really into it, blah, blah, blah. Like, we had this conversation. Then I sent her, she did bring him over. We did the VIP pictures. And then when everything was all done, the VIPs, went back to their seats, and Jack and I were walking back to the green room. You know what he said to me? He said, I just thought I should let you know that when your daughter came to get me, and as soon as he said that, you guys, my heart hit my toes. I was like, what did she say? I was like, oh no. And he said, she wanted to thank me because the work that I did with you helped her, which means, or helped me. So she said to him, I want to thank you, Jack, because you helped my mom. And because you helped my mom, that helped all of us. Yeah. So Jack said, I felt like you should know that. I was like, wow, I did need to know that. So never underestimate that the work that you do on you is impacting the people around you. Please don't ever underestimate it. You are worth the investment, because as you grow and you become more of who you are, you show up as a different wife, a different partner. You're better at your work. You're in your power for real, and it has to start with you. So if you've ever been thinking, I don't know, if I should spend this on me, is it irresponsible? What makes me think I should put myself first? That's the exact reason that you should do it. Seriously. Your family will thank you. Your every part of your life, every relationship, everything will get better when you get better. I truly believe it. And if you do too, then you should stick around and we'll hang out together. Okay. Do some work together. Okay, everybody. If there is no more questions, no more comments, then I'm just going to close things off. And thank you so much for spending the last 53 minutes with me. I just love every single part of this, my business. Can we listen to the course? Nicole had a question. Yes. Yeah. So Nicole, actually, that's a great question. So the Power of You and the Best You used to be a 21-day challenge, and you actually only had access to it for 30 days. That was it. So you would get a video every single day for 21 days. And then at the end of it, you get 7 bonus days, and then it ended. I actually put the courses on lifetime access. So when you buy the course, you can listen to it 1,000 times if you want. It comes with a journal. There's reflection prompts for you to. So say there's a video lesson on day 1, and then there's an actual journal that is completely asking you the exact questions to go within yourself that support the video training. And I've made it lifetime access now. So if you want the courses, definitely reach out to me, because they are life-changing. I've watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people take the courses. They've taken it more than once. They've taken it 3-4 times and said every time they got something more from it. So I would highly recommend it. And like I say, it's the most economical way you'll ever get really amazing coaching from me ever. And you should do it. So that's all I want to say about that. Okay. Thank you all so much for being here. I've decided to do Mentor Monday on a different topic every single month, the second Tuesday of every single month. So next month will be the same thing, whatever the second Monday is, I'll be your mentor. Second Monday at 12 noon. Next month, we're doing the power of you, actually. So, or maybe the power of confidence. I can't remember. But I am going to do this every single month for all of you. So, hang with me. But like I say, this isn't just a 1 hour a month you should give to yourself. You should give yourself a lot more than that. But I'm happy to show up here every month for you as your mentor every second Monday. Yeah, the second Monday of every month from now until the end of time, maybe. I don't know. Okay, bye everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.